Well, hello there. I'm Charlie Ocean, and my pronouns are they, them. Welcome to Allyship is a Verb, a podcast for people practicing allyship for the LGBTQ plus community and beyond.
My name is Molly Ricks, and my pronouns are she, her.
Before we dive into the episode, I need to say thank you, Rory. Thank you so much for becoming a new monthly supporter. I appreciate you. Well, happy Pride Month, everybody. I've never gotten to say that to y'all before because I don't normally drop episodes during Pride Month. So that feels weird, but here we are. So happy Pride Month, however you decide to celebrate or not. We don't have a lot of time here because I want to make sure we can get in as much of the conversation as possible, but Molly is our audio engineer, which is really exciting, and she's become a dear friend of mine. So I'm really grateful that her podcasting debut in terms of being a guest is right here on Allyship is a Verb. What I can tell you about Molly in a nutshell is that she is smart, creative, and fucking hilarious. Here are 3 self-reflection questions for you to think about during the episode, and be sure to stick around after the conversation for 3 more. And more details about a Pride Month giveaway. Number 1. Do I celebrate Pride Month? If so, is anything different about this time around? Number 2. If I practice allyship, how am I supporting LGBTQ plus communities this month? Number 3. Do I buy any pride swag from corporations? Can I swap that with smaller businesses that are LGBTQ plus owned instead? And now, the conversation. You're like, I regret this so much.
I gotta go.
It's gonna happen halfway through the interview. You're just like, bye, Charlie.
Bye.
You are a trans woman, lesbian, musician, beginner witch, and pagan. Just laughing because I know you. And oh god, okay, what?
Yeah.
Not long. Yeah. What do those intersections mean to you?
I think that they blend into each other pretty significantly, and that I find that my queerness in being trans and a lesbian allows me to feel like I have spaces where I can feel appreciated and welcomed. So like in the pagan community or like the witchcraft community, for example, like they're very accepting of queer folks. And I find plenty of space for myself to exist in those areas. I should have added on the identities too, that I'm also a Unitarian Universalist.
You.
Yeah, because I didn't have enough labels in the beginning.
I mean, I've never met a you I didn't like. So
yeah. So my partner and I, we went to a couple services last October, and we had kind of been throwing around the idea of checking out the UU church because they had gone like 10 years ago for like one service and then never really came back. So we had an interest in checking out the community and seeing what they were all about. Because like we knew that they were very like welcoming, especially for queer folks. So yeah, we went there and really enjoyed our time. And we very quickly decided we were going to become members. And so yeah, within like a month and a half or so, we were like officially part of the church, which is really strange for me to say because I grew up Catholic, and it's a really strange feeling going back into something that's more ritualistic and calls itself, a church. I have complicated feelings about my Catholic upbringing. I definitely don't subscribe to it anymore, as you probably gathered from the identities at the beginning of this. But it's been interesting seeing how the rituals that I see in like the pagan world aren't all that different from the rituals in like the Catholic world from what I've seen. So
Except probably more inclusive and less guilt.
there is that too. Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely less guilt. And it's like, it's more open to your interpretation in terms of whatever you want to do. Like, I'm specifically gravitating towards Norse paganism, right? So, like, the whole, like, Norse pantheon of gods, like Odin and Thor and Freya and all that. And so that's been more of a recent revelation for myself. And I've been really diving into that and figuring out what that looks like for me and how I can combine that with various like witchcraft things and make my own practice out of it.
Well, there's a lot to dive into in this conversation. So we'll just go on this wild journey together. I feel like, and when we were talking about recording this episode in the first place, I feel that a great deal of your story stems from your birthday weekend in 2020.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. As you smile. That was just such a pivotal moment for a lot of reasons we'll slowly work our way through.
Mm-hmm.
However, 2020, birthday weekend. Could you talk us through what happened that weekend first?
Sure. For context, I was previously married, and my partner at the time and I went to a cabin up in like Wisconsin, I think it was. And we were there for the weekend for my birthday, right? And it also happened to be election weekend. So there was a lot going on, to say the least. But it was like Saturday, I think, and we were hanging out in the hammocks, and I turned to my partner at the time and was like, "Do you ever wonder what it would be like to be the other gender?" And she was like, "Nope, I don't do that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right, well." And so I just kind of like shoved that to the back of my mind and was like, "Okay, well, whatever."
Yeah.
And then the next morning, I woke up at like 6 or something and was like, why do I feel this sudden urge to cross dress? What is happening to me?
Right.
I was doing a lot of Google searches and trying to figure out what that meant, what this means for me. It was a very confusing time and a very interesting drive home the next day.
Yes. Something that's been really interesting for me to see over the course of our friendship so far is navigating identities, especially figuring out where you may lie within the LGBTQ plus communities, if at all. All of that can be a super complex and fluid process. So I just feel like, and I'm not going to share the specifics unless you would like to talk about it, but I just feel like there were quite a few times throughout the course of our friendship so far, and we haven't known each other like super long, but I just feel like I'd get like a text or something from you, maybe a Slack message. Charlie, I think I'm insert identity here. And then like low key having an existential crisis about it. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's hop on a call. Like, let's talk through this.
Yeah.
And I'm not to make light of it, but like, I think there's been a lot of panicked moments of, and I definitely don't want to shove words in your mouth at all, but I feel like as your friend, I've had a sense of, oh wow, like Molly is really struggling to find her place amongst all of this, and like I don't blame you because there's so many nuanced terms and definitions and everything now. In some ways it almost felt like whack-a-mole, where it's like you thought you had one thing down and it's like, but wait, there's this thing. And then yeah, so you've gone through quite the process. So I guess like in terms of thinking through the gender stuff from I think I'm a crossdresser to being a trans woman now, or your sexual orientation at the time of your marriage with your previous partner to where you've landed now. How did you find where all you fit. How did that bumpy process as your friend watching? How did that go for you and feel for you?
It started with the questioning piece of trying to figure out what wanting to cross dress meant. And that meant exploring different identity labels. And to kind of like summarize however long it took me, I went pretty quick, I think, in terms of trying to hammer down something concrete. Because I don't like living in the gray area.
No, you don't.
It's really annoying. I'm working on that in therapy.
I like how you said that. Just before I lose this thought, because you know how I am, I can only commend you for going on that journey, because I'm sure at several points it's been scary and confusing. And again, I feel like you'd have one part down and then you'd be like, but wait, there's this thing now. And then what's this feeling coming up for me? And so lots of exploring. And I just want to say, I'm really proud of you for navigating all of that.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I started out with thinking I was maybe bigender and then trans feminine, and then I finally landed on trans woman. What I found was that it was a slow release of my masculinity over time to a speed that I could be comfortable with it. And I think that really helped me to kind of like pace things out a little bit and not like completely lose track of myself in the process. And then as far as the sexuality piece goes, I have always been attracted to women. And so that didn't really change for me with the gender swap.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I was struggling with the label of lesbian. I was like, can I claim that? I don't know. And eventually I realized it was okay. I was like, you know what? I'm a trans woman. I'm attracted to other women. I'm going to claim the label because I don't really care. But yeah, I mean, I've had moments where I've been like, oh, am I gray sexual? Am I somewhere on the ace spectrum? And then realized I wasn't. And then I've had moments more recently where I've been like, do I also find men attractive? I don't know. I've come to terms with that where I'm like, no, I'm strictly just a lesbian. I have moments of questioning, but not really too often. I always kind of come back to the like, no, you're a lesbian. Let me tell you, there's something magical about lumberjacks.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. And the funny thing is that pre-transition, that's what I looked like. So I can't quite like figure out the connection with that, but lumberjacks are cool, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I know it's not for everyone, but like I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's been interesting to watch you allow yourself explore and have that fluidity, be it for your gender, your sexual orientation, and just be where you're at now. And I feel like you're also a lot more comfortable in yourself. I feel like should anything else come up, I feel like you're a lot more comfortable in yourself, in your skin, in your identities, that you would allow yourself any further exploration if it came up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really important to allow yourself that room to experiment and try things out. I mean, I was terrified when I was coming to terms with my gender. I was scared to walk in front of like my front window of my house in like a dress, you know? So like I couldn't go down the stairs. I have vivid memories of that. And then now I couldn't care less. I'll go to the grocery store and I'll just be like, you know, I'm 2 years on HRT now.
HRT means hormone replacement therapy. It's important to note that not all trans and non-binary people explore that as a medical option. Some may not explore any medical options. It's a personal decision, and sometimes people can be on it for a short time, and sometimes people can be on it for life.
And suffice it to say, it has worked. And
Yes, I don't know. I'm just laughing. There's like, I don't know, a comic strip happening in my head, but yes.
but yeah, it doesn't really faze me anymore when I go out. But like I distinctly remember having that moment where I went to the grocery store in feminine clothing for the first time. And of course, I had forgotten to shave that day, which made it super stressful. Yeah, I was really nervous, and I was just like standing in the cereal aisle, and I was like, oh, I just want cereal. But gender.
Yeah, no lumberjack cereal for you. Sorry.
Oh, I can still get the Brawny paper towels or Scott's or whatever brand it is. Yeah.
I don't know. Is that safe in your home? I feel like you might get stuck and just drool, and then your current partner will find you and be like, "Are you okay?"
Dream man, obviously.
You'll be like, "No, leave me alone. We're having a moment. It's private."
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you're comfortable diving into this, you flew out to visit me here in Denver, which was a wild ride for a million reasons. However, I do distinctly remember once we figured out how to find each other at the airport, which is not easy.
Oh, yeah.
That airport, and it changes all the time because, like, I don't know, certain parts will be closed because it's just undergoing massive construction that I think will honestly just happen forever at this point. But you weren't wearing the clothing that I think would best affirm your gender at that point.
Right.
Boy mode? Is that what you called it?
Boy mode. Yeah. I'm boy moding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really do that anymore. At the time, you know, when I was flying, I didn't have my documents updated at that point. I was scared shitless of going to the airport with a mail marker on my ID, and like if I'm there wearing like a dress, for example, you know, that's peak uncomfortable for me, and the last thing I want is to deal with the TSA. So I just kept it nice and simple. And you know, the interesting thing actually is I was probably wearing like a t-shirt and jeans or something at the time, and that's honestly what I wear now.
You're literally wearing it right now.
Yeah. I am at a point where I am comfortable really just wearing whatever, but I find that, yeah, generally just a t-shirt and jeans feels affirming enough to me. And I don't necessarily need to do like a full-on dress or a skirt every day like I needed to the first like year or two of my transition.
We're friends, and you're also the audio engineer of the podcast.
Yes.
So it's like wild to have you on here. I feel like I'm putting you on the spot. But is there anything like, I don't know, you think we should talk about as far as like how we met and stuff? Internet pal of mine?
Well, I can give a quick synopsis. I mean, basically, I've worked in tech for quite a while. We found each other on the Out in Tech Slack channel, or workspace, I guess. I think that was at a point where I was like trying to put myself out there and like connect with other queer people. And I was like, does anybody want to be friends?
I was like, I do.
Yeah. And you're like, hey. And it was basically history from there. And you were like, oh, I think you'd mentioned that you were potentially looking for like another audio engineer at the time. And I was like, oh, well, that just so happens to be my background in college. So I would be more than happy to work on the podcast for you. And then, yeah, we've just had our friend catch-ups, I guess you could call them. So I think we've just had our phone calls every so often and like catching each other up to speed. And there always seems to be 1,000 life updates each time.
Sometimes we wait too long, but it's because I feel like we communicate more than we actually do, just because I'm always like, the episode's late again. Thank you. I'm just going to call myself out.
It's okay. Make it work.
Yes. No, you're wonderful. You're lovely and such a great sport about it. I think you've just gotten used to it, which is why you tend to work on it like later on a Sunday or even sometimes Monday evening. There's been times where like everything is finally finished and ready to publish like literally a minute before everything is supposed to actually go live. And I don't love living life that way, but sometimes it just happens and I've just learned to roll with it. But no, you've always been lovely and such a great sport about it. And I've really enjoyed working with you because I just think it's been an interesting I don't always get opportunities to work with friends and stuff, but I know I'm tremendously grateful for everything you do to help make it happen. Because, like I told you, I cannot fucking mix, level, master, whatever for shit. I just can never figure it out, especially since it sounds so different on everything.
Yeah, that's the thing that they teach you in school is listen to your stuff on all these different mediums. And I do that with my own like music too. Where I'll like before I give myself like a thumbs up on a mix, I'll listen to it in like my car on my headphones and speakers out of like a really crappy iPhone speaker, you know. That's the best test, honestly, is listen to it through like really terrible speakers or like AirPods or whatever. And if it sounds all right, then you're in good shape.
Yeah. If you can make sure to get like a boombox that like still plays cassettes and CDs, or maybe it
Yeah.
doesn't anymore, but it still has those features that used to work, like, yeah, the better.
I mean, in all honesty, I had zero experience working with podcasts prior to taking on your project. So I had to like teach myself how to work with it and figure out like, okay, what settings do I want to use on these plugins and what do I cut out and stuff. And so it's been like an evolving process for me. Yeah, just different things that I try out to make it work. But I will say my favorite thing is always the song that comes with each episode.
I I appreciate that. Yeah, every time I send it to you and I'm like a song LOL like as a folder, I'm just like so I'm glad you said that, cuz anytime
Yeah.
I've ever sent them I'm like, does she hate me? Is she like so fucking tired? I mean, cuz some of them there's like a lot of tracks, and then some of them it's like literally just, a vocal track and then like an instrumental that's like already perfectly mastered that I've pulled from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure those days are a little bit easier, but sometimes it's just like I'm like left 30, right 30, and then left 45 or something on this and right 45 on this one and all that. And yeah, your face just now. Your face just now. But I'm like, I just want you to know what I was doing. So that, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great because my current partner, well, I should say my fiance.
Yes, we'll get there.
But yes, my fiance, she gets to hear the songs over and over again as I'm working on them. And that's her favorite part of the podcast too. It's like she gets to like listen in on everything because like our workstations are next to each other. So she'll be over there playing like Stardew Valley or something like that. And then I'll be over here and I'll be like, why can't I fix this?
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, and what's hysterical is that for as long as you spend on it, I probably spend 3 times the amount. Just because, like you talked about, it gets hard to make decisions sometimes about what needs to be cut out because the conversations almost always go on for too long, and I'm always cussing myself out in post. And to your point, I'm also using filters and stuff too, or effects or whatever, because I'm noticing that like sounds are picking up on the guest's mic that shouldn't be. But like when you fuck with it, you have to like listen all the way through, because sometimes they'll say something so low, which is why usually I'll be like, Molly, there's parts that go low on this one. I'm sorry.
I love those. I love those notes.
Yeah, or it gets too loud and there's literally nothing you can do about it because it's just blown out because of laughter or something that was way too close to the mic. So bless your heart and everyone who listens to those episodes that happen. It's gotten a lot easier. I've gotten a lot better. It's just like being able to make bigger decisions about what chunks need to come out of a conversation. But yeah, it's so much. And then the fillers. You already know all of my fillers. Please don't tell people. We don't need to go there. But I have a lot of fillers. I wish I didn't say them. I just find that when I'm in the conversation, I'm not thinking about it. I'm just present to the moment. So if I paused for a second, then I'd probably stop. But Again, I've even edited out a lot before you've listened, so you can imagine how many more
That is crazy.
are there. Yeah. So, well, sometimes I just say, fuck it. Sorry, Molly. Like in my head, literally, I literally cannot spend another second on this. So, whenever I'm like, it's like 6 minutes over, which I don't think has ever happened, but it's definitely been over at times. I'm just like, thanks. Appreciate you so much.
Honestly, sometimes you just have to like throw in the towel and just be like, you know what? It's as good as I'm going to make it. It's in someone else's hands at this point, and we've always made it work.
Yes. Yes. Jumping backwards to music stuff, you have put out an album. You started by releasing all of the songs separately over a pretty decent length of time. And I don't know, I haven't looked in a while, especially when you were talking about changes of documents and stuff. Have you updated your artist name on Spotify and anywhere else your music exists?
Well, I've changed not the artist name. The artist name is still Sky Ripper,
Okay.
but I've updated the credits
Hmm.
with all of the songs so that it no longer has my dead name.
Yeah.
But it's funny though, because if you go to my most popular song, the artwork is still me pre-transition, and I've just sort of said like whatever and just left it at that.
Hmm.
But I kind of did a nod to it when I put out the album, because I named it Transformation, and it's like a similar shot where it's like a side profile, and it's me like a couple years into my transition.
Hmm.
So yeah, I wanted to do a callback to that and just be like, that was me at this point. Now here's me now. And like my music has evolved pretty radically as well. It used to be more along the lines of like traditional synthwave, and now it's like got, I would call it synthwave adjacent music. It's a little more unique than that, I think.
Some girls are woo girls, and some girls like you are synth girls. But like you said, it's possible, unless people are paying close attention, that they would see though. You're like, okay, please. Number one, I'm grateful we're talking through a computer right now, because please don't like fly back over here to hit me. But in some ways, and I'm not saying she's the only unique person who's ever done this, but it almost feels like you're having a Taylor Swift moment where you're dropping these like hints, dropping these clues for the fans to like to see and hear and everything. So,
Well, that's actually not too far off, because with the titles of my tracks, I tend to keep them just like one word or two, and they're usually related to something that's going on in my life at that time. There's a song that I released called Lament, and if you look at the album cover, it's like these tiny little Doc Martens on like a blanket, and there's like a fall theme and stuff. That was titled Lament because my wife at the time had just experienced a miscarriage. So that was pretty rough on us. I wanted to dedicate something to the kid that never came to be, unfortunately. It's pretty wild, like thinking that I was almost a mom at one point.
I just really appreciate you normalizing that experience in a way, because I feel like now that I've entered this part of my life where more and more of my friends are becoming parents, there's just so much shame and stigma around people talking about things like a miscarriage. And so you never know what your friends are fighting, because sometimes they can have a few. And I know that they can also have dates that are really tricky for them, because that reminder comes up, like you said, of just like what could have been. And especially
Mhm.
if they've been trying for a long time to have that happen. So, which is why so many folks don't say until a certain period of time where they feel like statistically they're likely to carry to term. So,
Yeah, we hadn't made any announcements yet. That was sort of my, I guess, host announcement. I didn't specifically say like like, oh yeah, my wife had a miscarriage. It was more just, it's more for me. The titles are more for me.
Sure.
Like, for example, my track Dissolve, that was named after dissolving estrogen under my tongue.
Dropping a different kind of drug under your tongue. I love that.
Yeah, exactly. Fill me up with estrogen, baby.
Jumping back a little bit, because, we've alluded to your current boo.
Mm-hmm.
This is the part where I'm like, Charlie, are you really saying this? Finding love again after your divorce has been a significant part of your journey. And also, with you discovering that you're a trans woman and just everything that had sort of come out of that birthday weekend in 2020, can you talk about how your relationships have been impacted, both romantic and otherwise, since that birthday weekend?
Oof. Wow, that is a loaded question. Well, I'll start with my ex-wife. Her and I are still best friends. For us, it was just a matter of like, it wasn't even my transness that ended the relationship.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, she's also part of the community. It wasn't a matter of like not being attracted to me in that sense.
Mhm.
It was just a matter of like, we realized that we weren't a good fit for each other anymore and needed different things in our lives.
And you'd been together a long time.
13 years, yeah. So it's been a while. I truly was living like the whole stereotypical like American life where I was like, get married young, get a house, almost had a kid. And then things just sort of like everything came crumbling down. When I realized I was trans, everything changed. Not a single aspect of my life remained the same. So yeah, I ended up getting divorced. But let me tell you, that was the easiest divorce I'm sure that like any lawyers have ever had to handle. Uh, so we made it work very easily. I have a very close relationship with my sisters, probably even closer than it was before. My parents, unfortunately, are not supportive. I am currently no contact with them. So that was a huge deal for me. I spent about a year trying to get them to love me unconditionally and trying to make concessions and like slowly, incorporate feminine things to like try and make them a little more comfortable. And which in hindsight, I'm like, you shouldn't have had to do that. But yeah, so it's unfortunate. And I've had a lot of people tell me like, hold out hope, that they'll come around. And I don't know, I'm not really at that place anymore where I'm like, sure, there's a chance, but I'm not going to hold out hope for it because I did that for long enough and just kind of gave up at a certain point. Friendship wise, all my friends are still my friends. I didn't have any negative reactions there. Same deal with work. I was really blessed to have nothing but overwhelmingly positive responses from people at work, at multiple jobs, actually. Dating again was.
That was fun for me. I loved all the stories, so thank you.
Dating again was interesting because I hadn't dated anybody since junior year of high school. So it had been quite a while. Well, first of all, I was trying to figure out how to use the dating apps. I was like, okay, now I have to make a profile for myself and I have to disclose that I'm still currently married. And I know that's going to be a detractor for a lot of people. But it actually kind of filtered out a lot of the people that probably wouldn't have been a good match for me. So it ended up working out in my favor.
Hmm.
I went on dates with a few different people and kind of like learned more about myself and what I was looking for. Then eventually I met my current partner and we've been together for like a year and 3 months or so. Yeah, about a month ago, I popped the question and we are currently engaged. And I am patiently waiting for her to pop the question back to me.
Aw.
Yeah.
I think it's really adorable that that's been, I don't want to say a trend, but just not in the way of like, this is trendy. Like all the lesbians are doing it. It's the new U-Haul. It's more like it's just been really beautiful to see queer couples, especially those that are more public, that you see, okay, this one proposed and now this one proposed. And it's like, well, why would they do that? And it's like, because they fucking can and they wanted to. And we get to reimagine what it's like to be with someone and how they show up in our lives and the life that we build together and everything. So I think it's really beautiful.
I'm very much looking forward to it and going through that experience. And to me, that, well, first of all, fuck gender roles, but also I like the idea of having that feminine experience. Like to me, it reads as feminine, and that's going to feel very euphoric to me because it's going to feel very like gender affirming, and it's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to that very much so.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of surprising ways that's come up for you, either in dating or whatever, that you've had your gender affirmed in ways that you just haven't experienced before.
Yeah. So I exclusively went on dates with trans women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was very different for me. It was interesting being with people who understood me and like had a shared experience in that regard. It felt comfortable and it felt safe.
Basically, any friend I've had who's gone T for T, so dating other trans people, I feel like they just never go back.
Honestly, yeah. No, it's super affirming because you're like, I don't have to explain myself to this person. They understand and they've had similar experiences to me. So yeah, T for T is awesome. I fully support it.
Yeah. That might be the one song that you deviate from your pattern in the future, where it's just like T for T is awesome. Or maybe that's the album title. I don't know. But yeah. No, and it's interesting. And I also don't want to say that to discredit cisgender folks or folks who are part of LGBTQ plus communities in other ways, and that they can't be affirming too. But it's a special kind of relationship, like you were saying. And it doesn't mean that everyone who's trans or non-binary is going to want to date that way. However, like you said, I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of conversations you don't have to have or feel like you have to have. There's a lot of conversations you get to have. And you can really just like be more present for the conversation versus like, I don't know, not like you still don't have some sort of education as far as like swapping of like who you are at your cores and stuff and what you want out of life and everything, but not having to do like trans 101 or pronouns 101 or like which genitalia I have 101 or, or be worried like when it could be also true, it could potentially also be true for like T for T relationships, but like, like in my case, have a partner and not trans, not non-binary, but have a partner that at least was part of the LGBTQ plus community, but wasn't looking forward to me having surgery. She was worried she wouldn't be attracted to me anymore and all of that. And I was like, great, I'm having like a wonderful moment. And you're like, am I going to be attracted to Charlie anymore? Like, Jesus. So
that's rough. Yeah.
Yeah. But, and again, I'm not saying that's always true, but I do think there's a magicness to T for T for sure, or there can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that is true in a lot of different areas of relationships, whether you're looking at like the sexual side or the, I don't know, the love side, or I don't know.
You found love again. Oh my God.
I found love again. But yes, no, T for T, because I know I've kind of touched on like the love side. But yeah, from like a sexual perspective, yeah, it was super affirming having those encounters with people who identified the same as me.
Mm-hmm.
That made a huge impact on my life, honestly. Being loved by someone in a way that felt very affirming was really, really nice. And just not feel like I had to fit any specific role or anything like that.
Yeah. And going back to this whole trip for your birthday, being such a pivotal moment. Like you said, there wasn't a single part of all of that didn't change or touch your life because, like you said, eventually it led to a separation and divorce from your wife, former wife, or you were selling the home that you had been, living in together and finding new places to live and dating people and job stuff and should I do HRT or not, and just re-examining every part of your life, which I actually think is really beautiful because it allowed you to learn more about yourself, I think. I mean, it's not to dismiss parts that were challenging for sure. And you're living I'd say, a pretty different life from what you were before that weekend. In, I think, pretty positive ways, but also not to discredit, again, moments that have been hard or are still like ongoing, I don't know, tenderness exists.
I look at it as reinventing myself. Yeah, I reinvented myself in terms of everything. And like when I look back at how I lived and presented and just existed prior to transition, it was something where like I was really trying to embrace my masculinity up until that point. And then, yeah, everything just came crashing down and everything that I had known was no longer relevant. I was hiding aspects of who I was until I was comfortable showing them. I redefined my partner, redefined my living situation, my family, my religion, and just all of that. It was pretty shocking. And it happened over the course of about 3 years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like one thing after another, and it was very brutal. Lots of therapy. But I feel like I'm finally on the other end of that now. And I've been finding aspects of myself to explore and redefine myself now. And I'm still very much working with that at this point in my life, like hobbies and religions, beliefs, all that stuff. I'm really trying to dive into that head first and like tell myself that it's okay to try out different things and yeah, live in that gray area that we were talking about before.
Yeah, when you took up roller derby, in my head, I remember
Oh
thinking, oh
yeah.
my God, can you stop being so sexy? I just cannot. Just please stop. As your friend, I kindly no. But like even throughout this call slash conversation, it feels like a call because I'm used to us like
I know.
zooming and stuff. But even throughout this conversation, like it's been so fucking cute to like watch you just like beam. And it's not like you weren't happy before. I just don't think you had fully tapped into your happiness potential. And now you're beaming. And it's so great to see you in that space.
I am a lot happier now than I was about a year or so ago. It's actually right around this time that I moved into my new apartment. Yeah, that was a big change for me. And I was like, how am I going to get back to this life I was living? And I need to rebuild it and it needs to be perfect. And now I'm reevaluating those thoughts and trying to determine if that's still what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, certainly my current partner and I have dream plans. Woo.
As you wave your arms.
Yes. Whether or not those come true or not remains to be seen, and that's fine. We'll see what happens. I'm willing to be flexible with all this stuff. And that's not to say that, like, there's still things that linger.
I think throughout this conversation, I'm also reflecting on how many different kinds of community you've been able to tap into and how, I don't know, fun and exciting that must be for you. Even if, like, maybe some of them you're not actively participating in right now and may not come back to. I think it's really cool that you've been allowing yourself to explore which communities feel good to you. And now you're like doing leader shit, like support groups or all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, I will say, and you touched on this earlier, that the roller derby thing. Yeah, I was with roller derby for like a year, and it was a really good outlet and a really great community for me because my teammates were amazing and I love them dearly. It just got to a point where I wasn't able to do the skills, and I broke down crying like 3 practices in a row because I was in the midst of all the divorce stuff and it was really emotional. And so I just couldn't make it happen at the time. But I'll always hold a special place in my heart for that time in my life. And I've got some really great stickers from there too. Yeah, someone on the team made stickers, and one of them is a rainbow. And on one end it says roller derby, and on the other side it says gays. And it's really endearing. The other one is a sticker of, it's like a silhouette of someone skating in like a skirt, which was my thing. I always skated in a skirt. And my derby name was Estra Gin. And I was very proud of that. It seemed to go over pretty well. So
it did. No, your helmet was awesome. You had all sorts of fun stuff on there.
I had some of your stickers on there too.
And even some of mine. Doll. Not to be confused with like for music making, but like the aw emphasis on that part. Just for I have to make a terrible music joke, okay? It was so bad, I know, because you were staring at me like, what are you saying, Charlie?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I think other communities have been, yeah, super welcoming and really great. I mean, I'm specifically with a number of groups at the UU church. There's like different ones that pertain to like my interests. My fiance and I are planning to start a trans support group over there and get that rolling. So that's in the works, and I'm very excited to lead that. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try.
And that's like the thing, right? I think there's a lot of folks that don't recognize that they're leaders because even if you're a step or two ahead of somebody else, there's a lot of value in that because they don't know how you got where you are. So again, even if it's only a few steps, don't discredit your knowledge, your experience, etc., because there's absolutely people who will look to you. And you've even like been in a leadership role within your company. Like, I mean, this is your first podcast interview, right? And you just very publicly shared your story for the first time within your own company, which I think is scarier than going to another company and then sharing your story and then be like, peace, thank you for listening, and running away, right? So you've just been doing all sorts of things that are definitely, I don't know, you've been doing scary shit and you've been finding that each time you get through it and you're also more able to take on like fun, scary shit. So I'm really proud of you for all of those reasons too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. What's one allyship tip you'd like everyone listening to consider?
Always be willing to reinvent yourself and learn from other people in areas that you may not have experience.
Molly, I love you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was such a joy chatting with you because, as everyone has heard now, there was lots of laughter. So thank you for that. And thank you for taking us through what the last handful of years have been like for you. I've already said this a handful of times, and I'm going to say it again. I am so proud of you. All right, folks, the final 3 self-reflection questions. And again, stick after for more instructions about the giveaway. Number 4, do I consider myself to be a leader? Why or why not? Number 5, has a question come up for me that has completely altered my life? What was it? Number 6, What's an attraction I have that may seem left of field? All right, folks, here's the deal. I want to make sure that as many people can hear the stories on this podcast as possible. Then this is where I need you. All you have to do to enter is leave a review or a star rating for the podcast wherever you listen. That could be Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, Podchaser. Take a screenshot and share it with me, and you will be entered to win one free item from our merch shop. That means a t-shirt, a hoodie, whatever your heart desires, any of the designs that currently exist. If you've already done it, great. Just take a screenshot of that. By the end of Pride Month, I will select one person at random from the list of folks who submit, and everyone else who participates will have an opportunity to win something else of lesser value while supplies last. Check out the show notes for more details. Thanks again, everyone, and happy Pride. Visit allyship.com for any resources and a full transcript of the episode. And remember, sometimes allyship means being willing to reinvent yourself and learn from other people.